Alright, so this is the belly dance solo. I learned to play the doumbek because I said yes to a gig. Andy Russo over at Lemoyne called me and said, hey, we got this oud player coming to town, he needs a drummer, are you in? I'm like, yeah, man. It was good. I didn't know anything about the oud, but I have a lot of drums. Figured it was going to be okay. I'm reading the New York Times about 2 weeks later, and it's a story about these two Iraqi oud players. And one stayed in Iraq, and his life is not good. And the other came to the United States, and he's having a great career. He's made recordings for Smithsonian Folkways. He's touring all over the world. His name is Rahim Al-Hajj. His name looks really familiar to me. I look in my calendar, and sure enough, I'm playing with one Rahim Al-Hajj in October. So it was May then, so I got on the phone or the internet or those things that you communicate with and scrambled and tried to conjure up some lessons and try to figure out what it was I would be doing with this guy. And I went down to Philadelphia and studied with a guy named Nazi Antakli. And Nazi was of Turkish descent, but actually from Germany. And he then put me in touch with Raquy Danziger. And I went to her retreat and studied with her there and took some more lessons from Nazi. I spent way more money learning to play the drum than I made on the gig. But it was good, and I fell in love with the drum, and it was great. So the gig ends, and I'm like, well, what can I do with this drum? And it turns out the primary use for the doumbek in the United States is to accompany belly dancers. And so I've done some of that, and I've done a lot of it with Jen. And it's kind of neat. It's you and a dancer, and you have, if it's if it's a group and you have sort of a pre-set plan, that's one thing. But if you're improvising, that's something different. And it's just like jazz, except for that the cues are significantly different, okay? The way a dancer cues and the way a saxophonist cues, very different. But very interesting. It's just about communication, so it's kind of fun. And anyway, this particular piece is sort of a written out improvisation. It's on a maksoum, but it has a special sort of anticipation beat that makes it a Turkish maksoum. And I hope you enjoy this belly dance solo.